Hi guys, quick intro. I finally got this podcast finished, and I wanted to elucidate that this podcast with Vaughn might appear a little awkward because I was still getting to know him. We hadn't actually spoken to each other verbally until that point, but we had a good time, and I really enjoyed it. I'm sorry about the mic issues. I had internet issues, so sometimes the Skype call would cut me off from time to time. Just bear with me. And also, he made this really cool graphic that's going to be on the screen the whole time, and I hope you enjoy it. Feel free to provide any feedback you might have, and if you like what you hear, please check out his channel. Later, pimps. Hey, bungholes. This is SunBunz, and this is my second official podcast with a new guest, Vaughn Vlog, and I finally said it properly, right?
I believe so.
So you can call him Vaughn or Legendary. Why do they call you Legendary?
My gaming handle is Legendary Badass, and usually it's like, Legendary, kill the guy behind me, save me. No. Legendary's killing us. Something like that, you know? Awesome.
What system do you like to play on?
I wouldn't use the term like to play on, but right now I'm playing on the Xbox One.
Right on. So you don't like the Xbox One?
It has a lot of issues. I think we are in the worst console generation of our lifetime right now.
Wow. That's a big one. I don't know. Well, you know, I seem to like the previous generation consoles a little better too. Come to think of it.
Yeah, I was going to get into that a little bit later, but
hell yeah. We're going to talk about games and stuff. So I don't know where we could begin, but when we were doing a mic test a little bit ago, and I was definitely having problems, he mentioned that because I made him wait a long ass time, but he said that Oprah made him last longer. Tell people about that. You were on Oprah?
Well, there was this Oprah spinoff called The Nate Berkus Show where, like, Dr. Phil, she's like, okay, I'm going to have my team of experts. Each of them's going to have a show, and I'm going to make all the money. So it was like Dr. Phil, he's got a show. And then it was like Rachel Ray, I give you a cooking show. This guy, I'm giving him an interior decorating show. And before the show started, before anybody knew about it, I got contacted to do a segment for the show. And they wanted me to do like some problem solving because like I have this service I offer online on Fiverr.com where I will like make a tough decision for somebody. So they wanted me to make tough decisions for the studio audience. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Well, they sent me this giant case, like this Pelican case for, I don't know, stuffing bodies in. And all it had in it was a laptop, a mic, and a webcam, and they had me set up the webcam, and I was going to do a Skype chat, but we went through the questions before the show, and I had all these great answers and everything, and they're like, okay, we just need you to wait a little longer and all this. It was supposed to be at like 8 in the morning, and I was waiting till about 5 p.m., so about that time, my dad's coming home, because I live in his basement because I decided to get a film degree. So I had to go tell him, hey, don't go in the living room. And they're like, where'd he go? He's supposed to be on Skype right now. So I run back, and we go through it, and I got all these great laughs, and the show was canceled a few months later. So it only lasted like one season. They should have had me on more. I would have killed more, I guess.
Is this episode anywhere on the internet? Is it on YouTube?
It is not. It was on YouTube, and I found it, and I think I tried to record it or something, and I couldn't. And the link got taken down, so now I can't go back to it. And I did save it on my DVR, and I've tried recording it onto a camera, but it looks bad because I can't get anything off of my DVR. It has these inputs, but you can't actually take anything out of it for piracy.
It's protected. So,
yeah, all my TV appearances are on this old DVR, and so we've never upgraded our DVR.
Oh, what a bummer. Maybe that's archived somewhere. Maybe someone will find it.
My Tosh.0 appearance is archived.
You were on Tosh.0 too?
Yeah.
Well, this sucks. I wish I'd known these things because, see, this is the first time I've ever talked to Vaughn, and I didn't know he even, like, rubbed elbows with anybody that I actually know about on TV, the few bits of TV I actually still watch or am aware of. That's pretty impressive resume you got there. Holy shit.
Well, that segment, you can see, it's not the version that they aired on TV. They call it, like, the uncensored, so it's, like, alternate jokes from Daniel, and a few more people were added to it. But if you type in, like, Tosh.0 Fiverr, Fiverr, because I was doing some freelance stuff on the site, and they wanted me to answer questions for Daniel Tosh about whether or not he should go see Magic Mike. And so I hadn't seen the movie, but I was a movie critic, and I'm like, okay, I'll come up with some answers here, and I start like unbuttoning my shirt and doing some pec popping. And so he had a few different quips for that. I think he said, now there's no way I'm going to go see that movie. But on the web version that you can find online, he says, why are his nipples crooked? It's like one of the two, so...
So, how did you start? Did you start as Vaughn Jog Vlog? Did you have a different YouTube channel and kind of work your way up? Like, how did it begin?
I discovered YouTube around 2005, probably.
Me too.
Probably about the way most people do, just like, oh, hey, you can find old music videos on the internet, like on this place. Oh, like all of them? Okay. And so that I was watching stuff for a while, but I thought about making stuff for YouTube around 2007 and really got into it like to the point that I was doing stuff almost every week or every day. 2008. My original channels, Legendary Badass, I was doing like kind of jokey sketch type things and video game reviews. And on my other channel, I was doing, and that was the Vaughn Fry channel, my name, I was doing movie reviews, and I was doing some really, like, buttoned-down, straight-laced, serious movie reviews, so I kind of had a split personality as far as my web presence. But people were always heckling me on the movie reviews, like, no, he didn't see the movie. Well, if you don't give away spoilers, people think you didn't see the movie. So now I'm just like, screw it, here's spoilers, deal with it, kids. So that they can't be like, he never seen it.
Yeah, the people that watch movie reviews can get very butthurt.
Oh, they do. I would only gain fans until I pissed them off by giving a Quentin Tarantino movie a bad score. Then all the death threats would come.
Really? Which movie was that? I wonder if it's the one I didn't like.
Inglourious Bastards.
Inglourious Bastards. I didn't like it either.
It sucks. That is actually, I guarantee you, now, Quentin Tarantino's talked about doing this type of stuff before, so I know it's not past him to make that movie as a joke. He must have sat down with some producers and be like, what do you want to bet I can make a pro-Nazi movie that gets an Oscar nomination? And they're like, no way. And it's like, game on. So that's what he made. And people don't see it that way because he disguised it enough that the common movie buff doesn't seem to realize it. But the most sympathetic characters in there are labeled as Nazis. So it's actually, and it's his movies after Pulp Fiction look like crap. They look like something from Access TV. The lighting is so even. The colors are off. It almost looks like a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. And it's supposed to be grim. I don't get it. And then people have to go talk for 20 minutes in a cellar. God, shit. I'm so sick of him. So, yeah, I had 2 channels. YouTube put me into the partner program when that was a thing. You remember that? Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, crap, now I have to move my movie reviews to my Legendary Badass channel so that I can monetize them. And that worked for a little bit. I was making some pretty sweet dough for a pretty short period of time, though. I think I had the #1 new release movie review channel for like 1 week when The Karate Kid with Jaden Smith came out.
Oh, jeez.
There were still some restrictions on me. Like, there was always something working against me that other people were getting away with. Like, I could use the trailer footage, but then some other reviewer will claim that I've stole their review because they work for like a major news corporation. So that way, it was their way of blocking me in that way. Just because we both had trailer footage in there. So obviously I stole their review. That makes sense.
Oh,
so it was just such a mess, and there's no way to keep up with new release movie reviews or game reviews. Like game reviews, I was playing the game and beating the game before I'd put the review out. And I can't believe that any other gaming review channel would do such a thing. Like, I really didn't get the sense that they played through the whole games. So now if you want to have like a movie channel or a gaming channel on YouTube, just talk about the news. Just be like, so, gaming news, I saw the trailer for this, and here's a reaction, and my jaw's dropping. Take my money now.
Yeah, you can't like share any actual information, because if you do and reveal clips or something, especially by Nintendo's as bad as like Disney and CNN or Fox or whatever. They get so gung-ho about making sure nobody sees anything or talks about anything. but you can rant about stuff.
Well,
in,
YouTube
like, your
used to be a
office or
smaller
something.
thing when I was trying harder, I guess. I had composite green screen work, and I had all the effects I did myself. It looked like something you'd see on like cable TV. Like, it looked TV ready. But being one guy living in his parents' basement in Kansas, I couldn't keep up with the people who are like Complex or a bigger site or magazine or big blog that BuzzFeed, any of these that become YouTube channels that have production crews, and they're pumping out all this stuff. Or Watch Mojo just has like 100 top 10 lists a day, just trying to flood YouTube search results.
They're spammy as hell. It's spam. I used to like that channel, but they have like the same list, like you said, every day. It's like yawn, same thing every day.
I don't even know if they know they've made the list before, because like sometimes it can be like another top 10 animes that you didn't know about.
A redux of best vampires. It's like, you already did that like yesterday. What are you doing?
But that's the kind of crap dumb people on YouTube will go gravitate towards instead of actual opinions. Because with opinions, it's like I can grow fans until I piss them off. So by the time I tell them Quentin Tarantino sucks, they're like, oh, hell no. I have a deep personal relationship with Mr. Tarantino. He comes to my church, and I will not stand for this. So that's the way fans are. I don't even like fans. I don't want fans. I want viewers.
Yeah, fans are fanatic.
Fans they act like these people they never met are part of their family, and it's pathetic.
Yeah, if you can't take criticism, or even like, because I remember how worried I was when I was making my review of Metal Gear Solid 5 and how much I didn't like it, but friends of mine loved it. But some of my friends would like think that I had bad taste or something, and I'm like, no, I say there's no accounting for taste. I don't think it doesn't change. It shouldn't judge people by their taste in movies or games or whatever. It's just like, that game wasn't my cup of tea. It's as simple as that.
I saw that review of yours, and I played through the game, and I did a review of it as well.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
I mean, I kind of feel like the essence of Metal Gear should be like Die Hard. Like, you're alone. You have these limited resources and some people you can talk to, be it Carl Winslow on the as Bruce Willis does, or Naomi, or who have you, you know. But it seems so much better when there's like this driving force behind the story. It's like the ticking time bomb. You need to go get this objective done. In Metal Gear Solid 5, it's like, do what you want. There's no pressure, and without that, there's not even a story.
When you have time. Yeah, it was all open world. It was different. I was totally open to the idea, but I was just disappointed there was such a lack of narrative, and I didn't seem to give a shit about the characters as much as I did in all the other games. It was like I really cared about the characters in the other games. And this one, it like felt like a whole other kind of game. It wasn't a bad game, but it certainly didn't feel like Metal Gear Solid to me. But I tell people, if you liked it, that's great. Like, you'd be surprised.
I'm not playing a lot of games lately. I've been playing mostly Overwatch for the past year, and it's fairly sadistic. I mean, like, you can do good in it. It's just winning in Overwatch has less to do with you and more about making sure the other team does bad. So you don't try to win, you just try not to lose. So you hope the other team has the guy trolling instead of your team, and that's what the essence of how to win Overwatch. But it's a popular enough game that I can make videos about it, and people will still search and look for the tips.
It just looks like deathmatch PvP kind of stuff, a first-person shooter. Those have never been a strong point for me. I'm not good at shooters, and I never really liked them. It is a first-person
shooter, but it is designed to set up for non-FPS players. So, and I think that they did a lot of this intentionally. There is a lot of characters that don't have hit scan capabilities, or even you have to really aim with. You just hold down triggers, and they have like this AoE laser zap type move. But one of the most powerful characters, I think they specifically aimed them at female gamers who want to like play with their boyfriend but don't want to be a crutch. So they have the most powerful move in the game, and you need them on your team, but they don't have to shoot a single thing to be useful.
Well, that sucks.
So
you're telling me how fun it is.
There are times where it looks more like you're throwing magic at each other rather than shooting.
Kind of like Borderlands, huh?
I hadn't played Borderlands. I hear it's like Team Fortress 2 in a way, but it's by Blizzard, so it looks a little bit like an FPS World of Warcraft, kind of like the happiest, giddiest fairy tale FPS available right now.
Yeah, it looks almost like a Pixar movie. It's weird. Or Overwatch does.
But I think part of why I'm playing that is it's like a game that's out right now that you don't have DLC. They add new stuff every few weeks, and you don't have to pay extra for it. If you have the disc, you're good. You bought the download.
That's a first. Wow.
There's not really unlockables. They're kind of a hybrid between an unlockable and DLC in a way. You can buy these loot boxes that have skins and emotes, animations, highlight intros, and things, but you don't know what you're going to get when you open like
the Mass Effect Online. Yeah, they do the same thing.
Yeah, but they don't affect the game at all. So it's not like a burn card in Titanfall or customized loadout options in Halo Firefight or whatever they call the mode in Halo 5 that I didn't care for. So it doesn't affect anything, but it's like, hey, if you want that bad enough, you can kind of buy it. But at the same time, it's one of the few games where you're not like duped into some season pass to actually play the whole game. And all that season pass and DLC bullshit has put me off playing so many games where it's like, pre-order now to get this sword. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm not playing that game.
Yeah, season passes piss me off, and microtransactions, I hate that shit. I hate it.
Well, there's a lot of games now where you can actually pay for these advantages, and a lot of them seem to be like in the mobile space. Like I was playing Age of Empires Castle Siege, which I think is a lot like, from my understanding of it, like all these other games, or Clash of Clans or who knows what, where like if you paid enough money, you wouldn't have to adhere to the time limits, those type of things. Because like you could upgrade a building in this Age of Empires, it would take a week to upgrade it. Oh, but if you had $40 laying around, here it is.
It's expensive to be a gamer. We're all broke because of it. I meant to ask, sorry, we got off video games in a bit, but I want to first ask you, so you're a stand-up comedian too?
Yeah, I do some stand-up comedy. When I was on Tosh.0, that was the first time anybody really seemed to think that I was funny. So I was like, wow, hey, I'm on TV, on Comedy Central already. Maybe I should try stand-up comedy. Because I have the least supportive parents. My parents are like, you can't do anything, you're not this. Like, my mom doesn't think I could beat up Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather at the same time. What a jerk. So, yeah, wow. Like, no one believes in me or anything. No one thinks I can do anything. But I got on Comedy Central, so I spent a while writing out a bit and watching all of the Netflix stand-up comedy specials, and I learned a few things about the structure and all this, and I go out to open mics and I destroy and no one cares because I'm not famous, and it doesn't matter if you're good at comedy, it's are you famous enough for people to buy the tickets. And since no one even locally cares about me, because in the Midwest, it's even worse. It's like, well, we don't make a lot of money, so we're saving up all of our money to go see Kevin Hart. Screw local people. So
I don't even know who that is. Wow, it must be.
You don't know who Kevin Hart is? Or
I probably do, but I don't know the name. Maybe I need to see his face.
Oh, he's. I'm way funnier than him. That's all we really need to go in at this point, but he charges like $100 a ticket and makes hundreds of millions of dollars. So
most comedians, I can't really think of any today that I really thought was funny. Like most comedians are very overrated, and they're just. I still kind of like I saw something Dave Chappelle did. I liked that, but I can't think of too many anymore. Like I have been
working on a Dave Chappelle impression for an upcoming bit, but I've only been working on it for a couple days. I can say a few things like him, but it really sounds more like Dave Chappelle being Rick James.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! Because I was going to ask you about impressions. You did an impression. Was it on Instagram? What was it? I can't remember.
Was it Owen Wilson? Maybe.
Yeah, that's it. You sound exactly like
him. Hey, I'm so glad to be on the podcast. We got SunBunz is a beautiful, talented lady.
Well, thank you. That's funny.
Yeah, and the trick to him is you have to just talk out of your nose.
Out of your nose, yeah. Like he's got a big, crooked, broken honker.
And maybe squint and kind of push your lips together a little bit as you're thinking about what to say.
Really creepy. No, I don't sound like him.
I do a few others. I had been trying to work on a Vin Diesel. I think that's probably the hardest male impression to do.
I don't even remember what he sounds like. I just remember he did the voice of Iron Giant.
Oh, he's just really gruff. He's Groot.
He's Groot. Oh, yeah, he is Groot.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is easy.
Oh, please do Schwarzenegger. Even my husband does him, and I crack
Come on,
up.
kill me, I'm here, do it now. So
Impression?
I think everybody can kind of do the Arnold thing, which is weird.
It just sounded like you saying, come on, kill me.
Oh, no, I was doing it.
Do it again.
Hold on, what else would he say? Run! Get to the chopper!
I do this weird thing with my voice when I do him. Come on!
Oh, you cut out there. Maybe I cut out. I don't know. Maybe you couldn't hear me.
No, I heard you, but it sounded, it just sounded like you.
No, so... I'm trying to think of what would Arnold say about anything,
come on, Cohagen, you got what you want. Give those people air.
Come on, Cohagen, you got what you want. Give these people air. I hadn't done that in such a long time. You kind of got me off guard on that. I know that doesn't sound too good.
Give those people air. Well, it's really exaggerated, though. I don't sound like him.
Yeah,
what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age.
Oh, I haven't actually seen Batman and Robin. I've kind of avoided
Neither
that.
has my husband, and I told him, good, don't.
I don't think I've seen it all at once. I think I may have seen all of it at this point, but not in one sitting. Like, it's a lot to sit through. I think Catwoman might actually be worse as far as superhero comic book stuff.
I don't even would count that. That's like a spin-off, and the name Catwoman is slapped on the title. That's all I can say.
Well, you know what's weird about Catwoman is that in the movies, until Christopher Nolan, her origin in the movies is like way off. Like, secretary gets pushed out a window, looked by cats, comes back to life with cat skills. And that's kind of like what the Halle Berry movie went with. Like, this must be how it works.
Yeah, like any woman can become a Catwoman as long as they work in an office and they fall, and a bunch of cats go up to your corpse.
Yeah, if the cats revive you, you're obviously going to have their powers. So
what if a bunch of hamsters go up to you when you're
hamster woman? I mean, it could happen. Don't give them any ideas.
Squirrel boy.
There is a squirrel girl
man.
that they want to do a movie of the squirrel girl character.
I was just kidding. Any other impressions you can do?
I'm trying to think. There's Sean Connery.
Oh, please show me that one.
Let's see. What should Sean Connery say?
Sean Connery says something.
Well, hello. I believe I'm talking on Skype to SunBunz.
I don't know. You know who that sounds like? I can't remember his name, but he's a crank caller who calls people and sings a song, and it's usually something really obscene. And when they hang up, he goes, "God damn it." I can't remember.
No, I don't know. See, too many of the impressions I was doing, it's like the people are dying off.
Yeah.
Or it would just be like Dana Carvey's version of George H.W. Bush, or like I was trying to work towards getting younger people, and so I started doing an Owen Wilson one some months back, because it's like, well, he's still alive. People may have heard of him. That it works out.
Well, the Owen Wilson one's really good. I like that one.
Thank you.
I can do a lot of impressions, but then I was working on a voice demo, but I never finished it. It was such a pain because because I was still learning how to edit, and the sound and the green screen, everything was kind of screwed up, so all the recordings I made were out of sync. It's a long story, but I might have to just do it again sometime. But that's awesome. So you do stand-up, impersonations. Like, what's your style of comedy? Like, what are your bits about?
My inspirations, and this probably won't go over too well, are like Bill Burr, Ellen DeGeneres, and Bill Cosby.
Oh, that's awesome. I actually...
I saw Bill Cosby.
Ellen did that was pretty funny, actually.
Bill Cosby came to my university in 2004. And, I mean, he was old. He was wearing a University of Kansas sweatshirt. I guess if you're a comedian, you just want to pick up a shirt off the rack when you get to the place. So it's like, hey, everybody, I like your place. You must like me too. So he just destroyed like some of the hardest laughing I've ever experienced. People were almost having to like go to the hospital laughing type stuff.
Yeah, he was funny.
It was
brutal. Before the scandal.
I don't think people realize that Ellen was so good at stand-up. If you go and look at her stuff in the 80s, like, it's really intricate stuff.
She did one where, I don't know what it was, but I remember at the end she was rapping to Salt and Peppa. Her bits were so funny. I loved it. I loved where she was talking about, like, using public it was all innocent, cute stuff, but it was just really funny stuff that you could relate to. Everything about public bathrooms and, like, I just remember, it's a long time ago since I've seen it, but I remember her talking about how you're trying to reach into a jar of pickles and you have to make a claw to do that, like, silly little shit like that, and she was just really cute. I don't know the word for it.
In my style, I think less often, okay, so the local comedy scene, a lot of it's like, hey, you guys like weed? Me too. And like, that's a joke there for like everybody. Or, so my girlfriend and I got in a fight, and it's like, okay, how many more stories are we going to hear about these like relationship issues kind of things? So I try to talk about things that are like in the news or maybe something about movies, but a lot of times the local crowd doesn't understand the references. Like, I did a whole bit on the Avengers, and people are just like, I can't believe he said that about Captain America. You know, I don't like this guy now, kind of stuff. Or who are the X-Men? What, Colossus? What's that?
You need to go to a different area, I guess. Don't have the right don't have the right viewers.
I think my stuff would do better on the internet than in a local crowd of 60 people who don't give a shit. So it's quite different.
I know the comedy scene sucks where I am too. There's not much of it. There's places where plays are played and a couple not concert halls, just little, theaters, but that's about it. There's not a whole lot here, but yeah, that sucks. Hopefully you can get relocated or get some more recognition online.
Yeah, I try to post each of my sets to my current vlog, but if you're not already famous for stand-up, people aren't looking for it so much. So it's just kind of the way it goes. My old channels kind of got kicked out of ad revenue, just YouTube tightening the screws on me. Like, some of them, it's like as soon as I would apply for ad revenue, like within an hour, it would kick me out permanently. So, and they would give me these excuses saying that I clicked on the ads myself or some garbage like that. So now I'm down to my current one where it's like I'm trying to stay in shape while putting out a daily vlog at the same time, or kind of maybe...
Yeah, that's a good way to kill two birds with one stone. That's what I was going to ask you about, the jogging thing.
Yeah, so most of the videos I'm jogging while I'm hosting the content. Each Monday I try to do a run rant, in which I'm running when I...
ranting.
Yeah, rant on something. And I probably should have called the channel Run Rants. Instead, I wanted to call it Jog Vlog, because originally that was my first concept. But then YouTube's like, no, you can't use that. There wasn't a jog vlog channel. Why couldn't I use it? So I just panicked, put my first name in front of it, and thought, oh, PewDiePie's stupid, but YouTube loves it. Maybe they'll get accustomed to this name. And now everybody's like, how do you spell that? So that's where I am now.
So what do you use to film yourself while you're jogging? How does that work?
There's this rig that I got from a guy in the Netherlands who makes it's called the Sail video system, and it's like a 4-foot pole that kind of comes out of my stomach from how I've got this belt on, and I put a hoodie on so that it disguises the lines of the rig. Oh, I was gonna say, aren't you hot wearing that thing? Yes, I probably got some mild heat stroke Thursday. I was pretty sick the last time I went out running, and I actually I did a 25-minute review of Con Air just the other day. I haven't posted it yet, but I was feeling really miserable. So like a good portion, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna fall down and die for you guys right here, the 3 people watching. Oh. You sound so miserable. I don't think anybody busts their ass more for tens of views than I do. It's really sad. I know. I think I saw you tweet that, and don't get discouraged because I didn't have anybody watching me for about a year, and then I just started trying different things, and
and then talking to other YouTubers. But I don't remember how we met, though. Was it after my Anita video? I know I've talked to you on and off on YouTube for a long time, at least a year, right?
I think
Maybe
a couple
2?
years ago, I commented on a video. It was the Ivory Tower theme to the Neverending Story.
Oh yeah, okay, I remember now.
And
Damn.
I said something like goosebumps every time, and then you said something underneath, and I'm like, oh yeah, it reminds me of this time I met this girl, and then I got all these restraining orders, and you're like, oh, well, that's sad. So
yeah, that's, oh my god, I can't see. I've had so many conversations. It's so hard for me to remember sometimes until someone reminds me. But now I remember. Holy shit, that's cool. We met.
I can't remember where the state of your channel was at that time, but it certainly was like a year ago when you blew up. You blew up like last summer. Like you started like thousands of people like pouring in on the like Anita Sarkeesian feminist SJW type niche.
That's when it was really a hot topic. Yeah. And,
there's a certain kind of style to those where it seems like a lot of them there's a cartoon representation of the person. I've seen a few. Armored Skeptic, like Shoe on Head. I think people
Pairing does it. Yeah, it's kind of where I got the idea.
Yeah, people kind of must have saw you in like the related videos or something, or did you do a collab with them to get that much?
I didn't. I don't remember who I did a collab. No, I didn't do any collabs with like the big skeptic community, but Rec Feminist Videos was fairly smaller back then. But he did give me a shout out, and then I met a few other YouTubers and put some of their footage in my videos with their permission, and then he gave me like another shout out. And then I don't remember, but this one video that Anita did was, for me, it was like the last straw. Like, okay, I need to like really open up about how this shit she's doing makes me feel as a gamer and as a woman, and I'm like, this is going to be great, because I had all these great ideas. It was so hard to edit. It took over a month. Oh great, now my dogs are on play mode. They might start making noise, sorry if they
That's all right. So like it's to me, I tell people on YouTube, like, quality of content's one thing, but getting discovered anymore is so much harder than it used to be.
I know
Every time I start over, it is 10 times harder. Like when I started, there were videos. Do you remember like 10 years ago what a hit YouTube video would be? Like
1,000 views. 2,000.
No, I mean it would be like something really stupid gets like 10,000. I was on the front page briefly in 2008. I did a fake John McCain campaign ad type thing where it was like because Hillary Clinton voted for John Kerry, she's going to vote for Obama, so make sure you don't vote the way Paris Hilton does, or something like that. And I made it look kind of convincing-ish, and it got on the front page of YouTube. And at that time, front page of YouTube was like good for 40,000 views. So now it's way more than that. But there were videos back then where it was like, girl plays Wii, and it's like this girl. I remember this. It was like a British girl sitting down looking at the Nintendo Wii, and then like it would do like a POV shot of the Nintendo Wii mocking her, like, you're a stupid girl, you don't play video games. It was that simple and stupid, and it had like tons of views. And nowadays everything has to be like big budget or from mainstream media. Like, I'm sick of all these late night shows where they just churn out viral videos. Like, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to do a cover of this, but we're going to play it with these kid toys, and that's going to go viral. And it's like, people of YouTube, if you enjoy YouTube content, like, quit watching TV on YouTube like this, because it puts people like Bunz here and I. Are we going with Sunny or Bunz or SunBunz or what?
Bunz, Sunny, whatever.
Bunz.
I know, it's a really ridiculous name, and if I don't know if you watched the previous podcast, I can explain.
Yeah, I did watch your previous podcast. Okay. You said your name was Sunny, and I was like, oh, hey. But I didn't know if you wanted everybody knowing that. Like, I wasn't sure.
No, they already know. Doesn't matter. But they call me that even if they didn't know. So it's like, some of them just say it.
The people who actually put out original content are forced to just comment on Kardashians and the bullshit that happens on reality TV to get views.
I know, and I can't and won't do that. I don't really watch TV. I do love to talk about movies and games, but like you were talking about, like if you have an opinion, you either have to walk on eggshells or like put disclaimers, because people are just way too sensitive. Everything offends everyone. And
well, look at trailer reactions. I hate that. It's like, okay, we can all watch a trailer, but by making that trailer reaction video, we're just doing PR for a movie we don't know is good or not.
I won't watch trailers anymore either. They spoil a whole movie.
They do. I don't even watch TV spots. I close my eyes.
There's like, hey, look, there's leaked stuff, leaked. I'm like, I don't want to hear it. If it's, it's like, I don't want to know, because I like surprises.
Well, I haven't watched a new release movie in theaters in a year, and I used to see like 2 or 3 a week, and I used to see them in advance even, and it was still hard to put out a video in advance on the timeline I was working with, because I'd see a movie at like maybe midnight on a Wednesday or Thursday or something, when they're doing like checking the print at the theater, because they, believe it or not, would actually show movies on films, kids, back in the day. So I would see the movie, come home, spend like the next hour writing out a script, and then shoot the video and edit and do all the rendering and all the stuff. And it would take me about 8 to 10 hours to do a movie review, and then I just crash, wake up, find that maybe 3 people watched it. But no, actually back then I could get thousands of people to watch a movie review on opening weekend.
That sounds exactly what what's his name, Jeremy Johns does, but he blew up. He would see a movie, probably write a script, and just stand in front of a blue screen and talk about it.
Well, the difference between blowing up is just appealing to people. Like I didn't want to give anybody some bullshit, and you're trying to tell if a movie is good or not before the public weighs in on whether or not it's going to be. So, like, if you want to just ride the coattails and be like, okay, all this Christopher Nolan stuff is amazing, everybody. Like, it's easy to say that stuff when you have the review later, behind the press. But it's also difficult to actually have an opinion and not always be on the same path as all the other people. So it's like, if you say one comic book movie is okay, but then you don't like some of the other ones, and it's like, well, I subscribed to this guy because I thought he was going to like the comic book movies, but now he's a loser. So,
well, these sound like children. This sounds like butthurt kids or man children. The only people that don't engage with people that are that sensitive.
I see too many reviewers now where they're like, they just load up on nostalgia and viewer pandering bullshit and put it in the backdrop. Like, imagine if Roger Ebert's show, Siskel and Ebert are sitting down at the movie theater, and behind them is movie posters of every movie they like, Funko Pop figures, and they have a graphics t-shirt on. And it really spoils everything about what they have to say. It's like, these are not intellectuals anymore, these are just fanboys. And when I go on when I go on any new gaming channel or anything, it's like, here's the Funko Pop shelf, and I'm like, look, the Funko Pop figures, first of all, they're terrible. It's like one of the worst things that ever happened to geekdom, because they have
one that I got for Christmas.
They have nothing to do with the property at all. It's just some crap made out of plastic that vaguely they dress up to look like Wolverine. Oh, because he has some claws, so this is a special one or some shit. But it doesn't affect anything. Like, I don't have a bunch of movie posters. That doesn't mean I hate movies necessarily. Or I don't have a bunch of stuffed animals of Donkey Kong and Super Mario. Oh, I guess that means I don't know shit about video games because I don't have all this other crap. I remember when you could be a gamer and like actually dress like an adult, but now you have to dress like you're a 12-year-old going to a costume party.
Yeah, kind of. Well, that's where, see, being a geek was not entirely like... I remember when I was younger... Now they
try to make money on it. They're like, well...
Geek, or whatever you want to call it, geekery is fashionable and it's trendy, and so it's like, if you want to be a hip geek or hipster, I don't know, everything has to have labels and trademarks and stuff. But the thing is, I'm kind of guilty of some of it, but I think because I have some movie posters, and my living room has artwork and stuff, because I love that shit. I love looking at it. It brings back memories of my childhood, and it's like on my left is a Neverending Story poster, and on my right is a Final Fantasy VIII poster.
I don't like it as set dressing. When I see a channel and they're like, okay, so I'm the comic book expert, and they have statues of comic book characters, and that's supposed to install in the viewer, hey, this guy must know what Captain America is all about because he has a Captain America statue. And to me, it's like, have the actual comic book. That would probably give you more cred than actually having some Funko Pop or some crap.
For eye candy, to have something to just put color and variety in the background. Some do it because they actually genuinely are fans of that shit. Like I've seen channels where they have things on the shelf and they'll actually show the stuff they have, talk about it because they're a fan. I got nothing against people that do that, but I admit that some people do go overboard, have way too much stuff in the background, but I don't really pay attention to it. If I like the channel, I'll just pay attention to who I'm looking at, and I miss the old Nostalgia Critic videos because it was just plain white background.
I hadn't seen him in a while. That's all I remember him having. I
kind of stopped watching him, but I still watch him if he reviews a movie I really wanted him to review. But I admit, I don't really like the new style he does, even though I know they work really hard. But now they do these skits that are kind of like, they kind of are Saturday Night Live skits. Sometimes they're a little funny, but most of the time it's kind of forced. The humor doesn't quite reach that peak of where you laugh out loud. You might smirk, but that's about it, But comedy's difficult. That's why I respect the hell out of anyone who even calls himself a comedian. I really think it's the hardest occupation, or if you call it that, in the world, because making people laugh, there's such a science to it. It's difficult. You can't read people. Like, you're not going to be able to tell who will enjoy your humor or who will agree with your review. I can watch him dump all over a movie that I love because I think he's funny, and when he rips stuff apart, it doesn't in any way because it's not like I made the movie, and even if I did, I always think everyone's entitled to their opinion, and if they do it in an entertaining way, do it. Tear that shit up because it's funny. Like, you hated Star Wars. I loved it. But
The Force Awakens?
Yeah, I loved it, and
that movie still haunts me.
But see, I know why people hate it. I can understand and agree to a degree, but I personally.
Oh, you might have cut out a bit there.
Okay, what I don't like about today's audiences, everybody's so negative, and if they don't like something, they look down at their nose at people that like it. Like, you liked that movie? Really? You must be fucking stupid. Like, that's so like bitter and childish for people to do that to each other. Like, I made fun of the Ghostbusters movie with the female cast, even though I haven't seen it.
I've yet to see it.
I have not seen it. I don't want to see it personally. Let's say if I babysat somebody and they wanted to watch it, sure, I'll watch it. But but it's like the trailers were atrocious to me, and I thought, this might have been a cool idea if only they made it to where these were like the daughters of the Ghostbusters or nieces or something, to where they had a connection of some kind.
Well, I think that we have reached. I hope we've reached critical mass on the nostalgia exploitation.
Yeah, we just have no original content. It's all remakes, reboots, and...
Like, I thought 2015 was probably going to be the high point of that, and I think maybe we're tapering off a tiny bit. We're still getting a lot of these, hey, remember the name of that movie? Well, we can turn it into something else. And and that's a lot of the ideas right now. And, like, okay, Baywatch. Hey, you guys remember Baywatch? Did you like it? Not really, but I remember it. Oh, okay, so it has good brand recognition. We can make money with that if we put the right stars in it.
It's all cash grabs, yeah.
So let's get The Rock. Here we go. And it didn't work out for him. It doesn't work with every property, and it sadly works with some it shouldn't work with. And so it's like, to get an idea made, like, I don't go around trying to write some script for a movie because I know that not having a comic book character in it, it probably won't make money. And if it's not based on some property that people already give a shit about, no one's going to put money to it. So the original Star Wars movie absolutely would not be made today because they'd be like, oh, well, is it based on a book? If not, then why are we talking? So
yeah.
If it doesn't have an installed base, no one cares.
Yeah, the one thing I was saying about, like, when I made fun of the Ghostbusters movies, most people loved it. They just thought it was funny, and it was just a parody. But some people took it very offensively. They said I was sexist, that I have no right to make fun of it. And I'm like, I just can't believe the attitudes people have these days, where they're so sensitive that making fun of a movie is offensive.
What I don't like is that these people are acting like these movies are family members that they see every day.
Like we're criticizing their grandmother who's dying.
Even if you wanted to hate the original Ghostbuster movies, which I like the first one a lot, okay? But if you don't have to act like you know Bill Murray, because believe me, Bill Murray doesn't know you. So why do people have to defend these things? I think, okay, so my theory here is that the iPhone turned everybody into geeks. Okay?
I wouldn't even say geeks, like...
Before the iPhone, not everybody was into tech. Now, all the girls out there, all the lifestyle vloggers with the makeup and stuff are taking their selfies with their iPhone 7 Plus and with that shallow depth of field, putting it up on Instagram. And everybody's into tech stuff. And then that gets them into other geeky things, and then they build up this stupid relationship where they have to defend things like, I'm Team Xbox, I'm Team Sony, Sony was never good, like this shit. And I'm like,
console wars.
Who cares? Like, deal with yourself. These companies don't feel that way about you, but they all want to build fans. Everybody has followers and fans now on stuff. Like, I don't mind people following me on Twitter, but I kind of don't like the idea of them like worshiping me in that way. Like, you have followers. Like, it sounds like these
iconic.
I would rather have people who check me out or something rather than they're so blind to what they're just only going to listen to what I say or something like that. But that's the way these things go now.
I want people to think for themselves. I want criticism. I want people to tell me how they feel. That's why I like YouTube, because I can connect with people and see what they think about things.
Well, let's talk about the IMDb boards closing.
There you go.
Because I think that was a step in getting people to not think for themselves pertaining to movies. So this is what I believe happened here. In their original statement, they said that the boards were closing, that they had an issue with trolls, that there was a negative... too much negativity, and they didn't want to be part of that. But the average user, I think, could look at that and be like, well, were people really attacking each other? Because there was an ignore button, and then you never hear from that person again. When they commented on you, they couldn't. You were troll proof. You were like completely immune to being trolled. I never had any problem with trolls in there. I used the board for 10 years and didn't have any kind of issue whatsoever. But I believe what it really is about, now I was a movie critic. I wrote for a small local magazine, and I did everything I could to get on Rotten Tomatoes. I passed all the tests they wanted. You had to have like 200 reviews, and you had to be a critic for at least 2 years and all this stuff, and they wouldn't let me in. And the reason they wouldn't let me vote on the tomato monitor, whatever, is because there's more control over criticism right now than there used to be with the fall of the newspapers. So what the studios have done is they're like, okay, these newspapers are in trouble. So if these guys want to keep their cushy jobs reviewing movies, they're going to have to play ball and give us some good reviews, even when we know stuff's not that great. And they will lean on them like that, or they'll pressure them. They'll be like, hey, we're flying you out to do this junket, make sure you say something good about the movie. Unless you don't want to do this anymore, if you want to get fired, then we can find somebody else to do it. So they have a lot of control over the reviews right now. The IMDb score, it appears as though there's been manipulation there too, because I saw Skyfall, the James Bond movie, like a week before it came out. My theater was not enamored with it. We were like, why is this Home Alone? So that went down, and it had amazing reviews, even on IMDb, with this high average user score. And there's ways to buy that off. Now, could they buy off the forum? Probably harder to do, because you'd actually have to post a lot of content there and create a lot of accounts that were actually going to follow up on the content and keep the topics going. So when you see a movie like The Force Awakens has an incredibly high score from Rotten Tomatoes and the score on IMDb, but the forum is a completely different story, and you're Disney and you're like, you know what, we don't really want people saying the bad things, you shut them up. And what you do is you lean on Amazon there and you tell them, hey, if you want to be allowed to have our content on this and all this other You're going to have to close down these boards, and now people don't get to talk about movies.
That's so fucked up. For them to silence free speech. I mean, nobody can have opinions anymore because having opinions that make anything look bad fucks up their profits.
It's all profit driven. They don't care about the people watching. They want your money, and the best way to take your money is to be like, all the commercials now positive on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's like, oh well, I guess I have to go see this. Yeah,
I'll look up a YouTuber, a not so popular one, and see what they think, because at least
you can't trust the popular reviews on YouTube, because those people are going to the premieres and they're taking their selfie at the red carpet with Captain America, and then what do? Here's a positive review. Who would have thought?
And that's another reason why, like, I wouldn't want to be like partnered with YouTube, because once you do that, you can't speak for yourself. You can't speak freely. If you do, you're under their payroll. It's just like when you have, like, with like any real job I've ever had, I had to like put my censor button on if I wanted to keep my job. If anyone asked me a question about politics or religion or something, no, you can't. Not without repercussions. It sucks that that's the way the world is, but when it comes to movies and things that I'm passionate about, I want to be able for all of us to just say whatever the hell we want to say. And who cares? Like, why does they care so much they're willing to shut things down, to shut people up? That's just so fucked up. Did you use IMDb?
People are kind of misinformed about how free speech protection works. It's about the people being controlled by the government, but we have no safety net when it comes to the internet and these internet companies controlling free speech.
It's not free speech, that's for sure.
Yeah,
I don't know if it ever was.
We're entering this weird gray area where these companies don't have any laws stopping them from letting the users voice their opinions.
So I'm wondering, what are like your favorite? First off, what YouTube channels do you like?
I typically tell people that I'm busy making YouTube instead of watching it so much. I mean, I've watched quite a bit of your stuff. I've watched. I'm going to give a shout out to this guy who's got this really kind of average, low budget, old school YouTube type movie thing. It's Rambo Raff for Life, where he just sits on a webcam and talks for 30 minutes about some movie, intricately recalling all details of the plot, whether he seems to realize it or not.
Wow.
And he's just like, so I'm going to tell you about Hard Target. And it's like 3 hours of talking about a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie or something like that. Or he'll rant about a movie for as long as the movie actually is, or something like that.
But he's fun to listen to, huh? I bet you listen to him while you're jogging.
I listen to him while I'm like editing video or whatever. And, I'm just sitting there waiting for something to render. It's a channel that I feel is more like less visual. So it's something to listen to. I listen to quite a bit of podcasts. Too.
I listen to YouTube more than watch, actually.
I've been watching the Angry Video Game Nerd some.
I've watched him.
I have some mixed feelings on him. I feel like he's kind of the pioneer of the format, so I have to give him some respect there. He's not a talented gamer though, like at all. Like my grandma was a better gamer than he is.
He just critiques them. He's not like a skilled gamer so much. Bootsy's better.
Even him, I'm way better than him, because I was watching them play Robotron 2084, and this wasn't too long ago, and they couldn't get past Wave 5, and I have the top 5 in the world achievement on Xbox 360.
Well, you're going to be disappointed to find out even though I love games and I've played games my whole life, and I'm really good at some games, but I suck at a lot of games. My skills are very minimal.
Well, my late grandma didn't have a lot of skills for a while, but she really got into Zelda. And then she started playing Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario Bros. 3. And one day I walked in and she was playing Super Mario Bros. She's on like the last Bowser, and she walks under him while he's throwing fire and he's throwing the hammers, and she just stares him down and walks under him like a boss. And I'm like, you can run. And she's like, run? She went through the whole game without running. Like, old people drive slow. I guess they also play games slow too.
That's cute. Well, that's cool. I know some people that are grandparents that still play games. It's pretty awesome. Because, I mean, games have been around for a long fucking time. They've been, like, when they were our age, they were, they were playing Pong and shit, or maybe something a little higher tech than that. But speaking of which, I was going to ask, like, what movies and games do you personally start with like movies. Like, what movies do you particularly really like?
Well, my favorite movie, I guess, would be the best movie that will ever be made, and that's Terminator 2: Judgment Day.
I love that movie.
I've come up with a bit of an algorithm for how I've come to this assessment, and it goes like this. If you think about all possible factors that make a movie good, Terminator 2: Judgment Day hits higher across all marks than other movies. So, like, you could say, oh, this movie has a 10 in acting, but then where is it on special effects? You know, or so, like, I'm looking at, like, all possible variables. And
it's got pretty much a bit of everything.
I don't really come across people who hate that movie, but then every once in a while you'll get some hipsters like, yeah, the first one's a lot better. And it's like, well, the first one's a pretty good movie, but it's no Terminator 2.
The Terminator 2 is my favorite by far. I love the first one, but the second one's way cooler.
Only a crazy person would try to put together an argument that the third movie's better.
Only a crazy person?
Yeah, I think that once you really start trying to say that Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines is better than Terminator 2 Judgment Day, you got to be like locked up in a padded room.
See, that's what I'm
grounds
talking
for
about.
Dismissal.
Yeah, people like, well, I mean, being honest, but people judge people by their taste in movies too much, and it sucks. Like, when I was watching the Nostalgia Critic review Alien vs. Predator, he had mixed feelings about it. Like, it was ridiculous, and yet the second half was kind of cool. It just wasn't executed exactly.
We're talking about
like
the 2004 Alien vs. Predator?
Yeah, the one with the black chick and the alien. I mean, the Predator.
I thought that movie, in retrospect, certainly looks better now than probably originally, where you're thinking, PG-13, what the hell?
PG-13, I didn't even actually know at the time when I was watching it, because I wasn't paying attention to the gore.
I recall the TV spot. It was just when they started getting more open about why things were rated PG-13 or R in the ratings. So, like, in that little bracket, it would say slime in that movie for, like, violence, blood, and slime. So slime can get you a PG-13. It was kind of like that, and I remember that distinctly. But
slime could get a rated R rating? Wow.
Slime can get you out of PG, I guess. I actually like it better when a movie's PG, because it's like, now if something violent happens, it's totally a surprise.
Yeah, it's not quite expected, but PG was PG-13 before there was a thing.
The hardest 80s, like PG movie is The Beastmaster. It has everything. It's more R than R stuff today, and it's PG in 1982.
But see, what my point was is that my husband liked Alien vs. Predator Requiem better than Alien vs. Predator.
Because it was rated R?
I don't know. I need to ask him.
I thought that movie was really terrible.
Honestly, the one sucks is I didn't like a movie a whole lot if I don't remember a whole lot. And most movies I see these days, I can only remember like a few of each movie, because so much happens and only really iconic or traumatizing scenes make an impact.
I think they have
a
new structure in the blockbuster films where they're trying to do like J.J. Abrams, where they give you so much bullshit to try to remember that it covers up the plot holes. Because you're busy. By the time you're like, wait a minute, that guy wasn't over there. Oh, wait, now we're doing something else. So it's like, just divert your attention. With our
ADD.
The Force Awakens and Star Trek 2009 have so many plot holes in them that people on first viewing cannot keep track, and they're just like, you know what? There's droids. I like it. Okay.
There is plot holes, and I've watched both of them, and I can tell they do jump from thing to thing. I liked the new Star Trek movies, but I didn't feel like they were Star Trek, because I never really liked Star Trek until my husband got me watching Next Generation, and we watched a few of the classic episodes. And the reason I like Star Trek is because of it has some pretty brilliant dialogue and philosophical plots about worlds. And
but that doesn't put teenager butt in seats. So
yeah, what I'm saying is, like, what they did with the new Star Trek movies was more like kind of Star Wars-y action stuff, and it was all right, but it wasn't what I'm used to as far as liking Star Trek stuff. So it's like I think of all these movies as kind of like reimagining. I'm okay with reimaginings because people can reimagine them as many times as they want. They won't really replace them. Reboots, I don't know if you call the new Ghostbusters movie a reimagining, but it looks like it's the same movie, but with female humor, but I don't even want to say female humor, because female humor, I don't know. Movies with chicks tend to not be as funny because the jokes are always like, that I've seen,
it's
that
that time of the month again.
Yeah, like men are stupid, women get pissed off, and revenge and romance. I don't know. It's like, it seems kind of less, I don't know the word. Just, but I am, I do find crude, humor funny if it's written well, or if at least the dialogue is quotable.
I would rather us move away from the necessity to build franchises with each movie and to have everything be some kind of like up for grabs property. Like, okay, so when I was a kid, if somebody said, well, I want to make the next Star Wars movie, they didn't mean it literally. But now with J.J. Abrams, just this guy who jumps aboard franchises that somebody else made, and he makes money on them when they should be dead and buried, everybody now actually does want to be the guy who reboots X property. So it's really gotten unfortunate, because I'm such a champion of originality. I think that I literally run an original vlog on YouTube. So I try to do something original, but it's the stuff that's not original that everybody actually watches. You were asking me about movies that I like in particular. I'm an independent film festival programmer. That's part of the lucrative volunteer work I get to do for having a film degree in Kansas. So I watch a lot of indie films that are submitted to the festival, and a lot of foreign films as well. And I'm watching a lot more of that than I am modern Hollywood blockbusters so much.
That's awesome. So what do you do as a independent, what did you say you were?
Film festival programmer.
What's that?
I just have to watch a whole lot of submissions and judge them, and then try to convince the other people doing the same stuff what constitutes a good movie or a good script, or hey, this movie didn't work because of these plot holes, or the acting's bad. In the time I've been doing it, and I'm in my 10th year, the production quality on the lower end is definitely risen. It's just like with YouTube, where cheap video used to look so much cheaper than cheap video in 2017.
Oh yeah, because of all the better digital cameras. All our phones have better cameras on them now.
Yeah, the phones have better cameras than some of the most expensive cameras you could get 10 years ago.
It's crazy, but yeah, it's incredible how the quality went up, and yet the quality went down at the same time, if you think about it.
Well, the writing is now suspect in everything. There's a lot of tropes come up. Just yesterday, I watched an Australian movie. It has this actress who's going to be a big deal soon, because she's in this new Spider-Man movie, and she was in some stuff last year. But there were dumb things happening. Like, this boy has this knife on him, and she's like, is that a knife? And it's like, obviously a knife, so like, why'd you ask that? Or a guy's being chased and he falls down, trips over nothing for suspense. Stuff like that ends up happening too much now. But there is a benefit to these independent films. They're never building a franchise. There's never some kind of sequel bait ending, like with everything now, where it's like, we have to set this up for the next movie. It doesn't happen. I actually like that. I like this self-contained movie thing instead of Marvel Cinematic Universe, where you have to watch 20 movies to make sense of the next one and recall every intricate detail of some background character who's going to become important later, whether you know it or not.
I know.
Too much.
I wish there was more originality, that's for sure. So
it's too hard to keep track of these things. I don't know why they keep growing. Like, are people not burned out of the comic book things yet? Like, I like the older action movie stuff. We've replaced action with just comic books, and I think we're getting to the end of the era of movie stars. Because these comic books are source material. And if all of the movies coming out are based on these source materials that constantly have new people writing on them, and they're retelling the stories, and they've been doing that before movies decided it was cool to reboot stuff. If that is like inherent to the source material, we're going to end up soon just actors being like, well, you know, I want to play Han Solo someday after the 8th guy, you know, but it's going to be like an assumed thing, or I'm studying to become Captain America someday, things like this.
Look, anybody can play anybody because everybody's already done it.
The computers are making all this stuff more believable than the old action movies. As far as for the talent, that is, like, you needed Arnold Schwarzenegger to look like he could kill 80 Mexicans outside of a mansion. I think that it might have actually been. I'm talking about Commando. I think that house was used in Beverly Hills Cop also. But now anybody can look like a badass because we have CGI doing all the stuff. I was watching Con Air the other day, and Dave Chappelle's body gets thrown out of this airplane, and it looks really convincing, even in HD. And I saw the movie 20 years ago in theaters, and you can tell, like, when he hits this car below, that's an actual car. There is a dummy. The view of him, the bird's eye view of him falling, looks really good. Nowadays, I can see that going down as CGI car gets hit by CGI Dave Chappelle, and they would just go that route because, well, it's easier than actually going out and getting talent to do this stuff against the green screen. Even we can get these low pay CGI artists in droves to do this stuff for us, and the director can go do other shit for that day, go play golf or whatever. Everybody's gotten so lazy. The effects look terrible nowadays. The biggest thing that turns me off on modern movies is when they have CGI helicopters. Because helicopters exist.
They're expensive.
People know what a helicopter looks like. So to have a CGI helicopter, it's like, okay, if there's a CGI dragon, that's okay. We can't go out and actually get dragons, but since helicopters are available and we're just going to have them made out of CGI, it's like, you're wasting my time, movie. Why do this to us? It's
a good point. Like, I miss practical effects. I wish they would bring them back, and special effects makeup like they did in the 80s. Those were my favorite, and animatronics. But have you noticed, I don't know, like, even though I didn't want to see it, The Thing, it's not a remake, I guess it's a prequel. You're
talking about the 2011, it's sort of a prequel, but it's essentially a remake with the same title. I've seen it, yeah.
I loved the first thing. Well, I guess technically the Thing that I'm talking about is one from
I know, yeah, it's sort of a remake, but it's such a tone shift from the Thing from another planet or another world or something, yeah.
But anyway, the new one in 2011 had practical effects, had puppets and crazy...
yeah, I talked to the guy who did them on Instagram quite a bit.
So I wonder why... I can't remember. I think I saw a video that explained very vaguely about why they had done all these amazing effects, prosthetics, and makeup, and replaced it all with CG. It was atrocious. I could barely look at it. It didn't even look like CG from, like, current day. It looked like CG from, like, 10 years ago. And I'm wondering, what the fuck? Why would they do that when they already had all the sculptors build the alien creatures, coming out of people's bodies and stuff, and they filmed it, or at least did makeup tests, and then just put CG on top of it? Do you have any idea why they did that?
If I remember correctly, I've seen the video too, and he says something to the extent of there was a budget put aside for the practical effects. But as they got near the end of the budget and they started to go, like, over budget, and they were like, you know what, it would cost this much more to finish it this way, or we could just go computer for cheap.
Oh, I wish they hadn't done that.
Now, I had thought of myself as this champion of the practical effects, but if you actually do look back at movies from the 80s and 90s that were heavy on the puppetry and the robotics and things, I can see an argument being made for CGI being superior, because with CGI you have a lot more time you can work on it after the fact. Like, you can only have this guy standing next to this puppet for this day and get all your shots there and hope that it all worked out, that there wasn't any dust in the camera that ruined the film, all this stuff. But with CGI, you have a lot more time you can put into it afterwards. Like, they wrap up shooting a lot of these movies very quickly these days and spend more time getting the CGI in. And those robots and things, like, watch the T-Rex in Jurassic Park from '93. It is so apparent when it is a robot compared to when it is a CGI. And the weird thing about it is the CGI T-Rex looks more convincing than the robot, because if you can see the movements and see how,
it's stiffer.
Isn't it weird how that T-Rex jumps on something, but then it's like lower torso doesn't move?
Yeah, they did a damn good job, though. Back then it was cutting edge, but this is where, like, my argument is that CG hasn't been done right in a lot of movies. I think it was done almost just right in Jurassic Park because of the giant animatronic dinosaurs, but they did move kind of stiff. It's very difficult to puppeteer a large puppet without it looking stiff unless they speed up the frame rate and everything. But in movies like Lord of the Rings, where they did Gollum, where it's a live actor on set wearing that suit, and they kind of superimpose the character on how much time, intricately animating every facial expression, but he was there physically acting. I thought that was a perfect marriage of CG and practical effects, is those gray suits, and they put an actor on set.
Well, the trouble is that I think CGI works when there is time and
money,
care for it. In a movie like Terminator 2, it's so cutting edge that they couldn't just go, well, now we're just going to drag and drop the water effect into this area. And they couldn't do that in Jurassic Park. But then by the time they get to stuff like The Mummy, I'm talking about the Brendan Fraser.
I love that movie.
From like that point forward, a whole lot of it is just, we're going to change these elements, and we're going to use this reflective property on this pane of glass that's going to get shattered by this wind, or who knows.
Those didn't exist. That technology was new. I know.
They don't motion cap every CGI character in every movie to the extent that they would Gollum. They don't take that type of care into it with things. So when stuff's rushed, it's apparent, and now they fill things up with so much effect that they realistically probably don't have time for it. And they're going to go over budget on movies. Like, so much of the movie budget goes into the stars.
Yeah.
But if the stars are entirely replaceable the way they are with these comic book things, budgets could be going down soon, because people are not going to go see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. They're going to go see anybody who's called Wolverine if the studio says they are.
Yeah, kind of like Halle Berry as Catwoman.
Right, so like you could have a new Catwoman movie and people are not like, I'm mad it ain't Halle Berry, or I'm mad it wasn't Michelle Pfeiffer. They'll go see it because, oh hey, Catwoman, I've heard of that.
No one's going to remember where it came from. Nobody's going to remember the original Catwoman from, like, the Batman TV series.
But think about if you were an actor born today and you're like, well, I want to be known for playing the Godfather reboot and being Han Solo in the third reboot of that. Like, the actors coming up are only going to be taking over roles somebody else originated.
Once it gets there, I'm probably not going to watch movies anymore. I'm not going to be able to enjoy them.
I know, we're getting to where, like, Chris Pratt is on the cuff of being like that. Well, there was talk of him like being Indiana Jones and some other things that were like all reboots. Josh Brolin is in like 10 different comic book movies. I mean, he's played a ton of comic book characters. It's like, can you do anything else?
Yeah, I don't particularly. I'm not a huge fan of most comic book movies. Like, everyone kept raving about Guardians of the Galaxy, and I thought it was entertaining. But that's another movie I can, honest to God, not remember a fucking thing about.
I
the
liked
plot.
it, but I don't remember too much about it.
Yeah, I liked, especially. I seem to always like characters that aren't human. I loved Groot. I loved the raccoon, and I liked the prison stuff, like when they had to get out of that prison. And I just remember something about the end of the world. It's always they're all usually pretty cliched. It's like an end of a world thing.
Well, they can't blow up a building anymore now, or even a city. They have to like try to blow up a whole planet from the get-go. There's like nowhere to take things afterwards. So I'm assuming in the next one, do they blow up a galaxy or try to? Because they are the Guardians of the Galaxy. I haven't seen it. I'm just assuming at this point, because they already tried to blow up a planet, so.
And I'm not very keen on comic book characters. I don't know a whole lot. Like, when I found out about Suicide Squad, the only two characters I recognized was Harlequin and Joker. That's it. And
I mean, I kind of thought that I knew a bit about comic books, but I didn't know much about, like, the Will Smith one. Is it Deadshot?
Yeah, and the thing is, that's another thing. I don't like Will Smith anymore. I feel bad because I used to. I can't stand him now. It's like every movie he's in, I just feel like he's just Will Smith. You next. Oh, hell nah. I just don't care, you know. He doesn't. I feel bad because like when he was in Men in Black, I was a kid and I thought he was like so damn funny, and he was in a couple drama movies that were pretty damn good, and I even liked his acting in I Am Legend, even though I thought that movie was ass.
That was a movie they didn't put much care into the CGI characters.
I know. That CG looked like PlayStation 2 graphics, and I got so angry because I
went there a lion in like Times Square that looked like garbage.
Something.
Yeah.
And I was so disappointed because I remember hearing about the story about these vampires and how different and cool and creepy it could have been, and the relationship with his dog. It had a lot going for it, but they fucked it up.
See, if they'd made it in the 90s, originally it was like
it would have been good.
There was a draft where it was Arnold Schwarzenegger and the director was Ridley Scott.
That would have been pretty wicked.
And I can tell you this: if there was going to be lions in it, probably a higher likelihood there was going to be actual lions.
Yeah.
Now, since we've seen lions, we know what lions look like. When they're CGI, it doesn't look right.
It has not even an uncanny valley. It just looks like Chronicles of Narnia lion, CG
I think
lion.
the uncanny valley argument's a bunch of bullshit. It's supposed to be like it's so lifelike it makes you uncomfortable. No, how about it doesn't come up because it's aiming for realism and it doesn't achieve it. So therefore it falls short.
The only uncanny valley I actually experienced is with robots. When I see a robot that looks real, like a very, very real robot, and there's only a few. There's only like a handful of robots in Japan. They just have a dead kind of. They just look dead to me, and it does make me a little uncomfortable. And it is like I think there is a bit of a science to that because when we look at things that look dead or lifeless, it's our instinct of like survival, like. We fear death, so to speak, genetically. And when we look at something that's moving that shouldn't probably be moving, it's like, ugh. You know, you just get that little instinct. But with CG, it's more like, I mean, some CG things will try real, and it just looks awkward. Not uncomfortable, just awkward. Like when I first played Heavy Rain, I played it again, remastered on PS4, and realized how awful some of the animation is, how their eyes aren't even looking at each other. Their teeth look weird. Their jaws move like ventriloquists. Not to mention the horrific French accents for some of the actors. They're trying, and bless them, they're trying to sound like Americans, but they just sound horrible. I don't kiss and I don't do any weird shit. What did you say? It's like they talk too fast. Why by me? Or they talk too slow.
There's quite a bit of difference in the art style between American games and Japanese games. Like when I was young, it seemed like all the games were from Japan. But now you can see that the American or the Western games, they try to aim for realism, and the Japanese games, they're like, let's try to make this a cartoon or stylized in some way. So,
yeah, like the characters in Final Fantasy 15, they look anime-like, but that's why we can look at them and not feel kind of weird.
Well, I think that there's a benefit to going for the stylized look.
I prefer it. Yeah, it looks better to me too.
So yeah, you can. I don't really think there's many Western games where they try to look stylized. Like Overwatch, they don't look like humans. They look like a Pixar movie, like you said. There's not very many exceptions to that. Everybody's like, we want to make the most realistic combat simulator. So yeah, that's what you end up with a bunch of Call of Duties, you know. I did want to talk to you. What do you think about YouTube Red?
I don't care for it. I will never use it.
I think YouTube Red might be the worst thing that ever happened to YouTube.
Besides YouTube Heroes?
Well, my thinking is that for Google to be like, hey, we're going to turn YouTube into Netflix because Netflix is cool. We want to have this is our in. At first they're like, you know what, this is our Facebook. Now it's our Netflix. Like we've got this tool we're going to use to be everything's competitor. Netflix doesn't have users going on there thinking that they've signed up for Netflix to make content, whereas the U in YouTube is being taken out by Google
that's what I said.
every passing month.
YouTube. It's their tube. Fuck their tube and YouTube.
Look at like most of the most watched channels all have the same look to them. like the same production crew, the same style of jump cut bullshit editing without any effort to disguise the jump cut. They look like they're all shot on like the same Canon 5D Mark III camera. They all look alike.
Yeah.
They have this YouTube Space studio they get to use that other, smaller channels don't get the privilege of using. Like, that's even fair. What they've done is they've taken something that could have been as open to everybody and as accessible as YouTube and the internet and just made it into, do you live in Los Angeles or New York City? Well, if not, you're screwed and you don't get to have a big channel.
That's why I learned to no longer really care about the size of my channel or how many people are watching me. I learned that it's quality over quantity. And it felt blessed when more people watched, but I admit that when more people are watching, I'm more motivated to keep going. But when I talk to the few people that still engage me the most, they're so tell me how much they really enjoy watching my videos, and they say that, they'll watch it with their family when they get off work or whatever, and that I'm the highlight of their day, and that just tickles me, and it makes me feel like, well, I
usually get told, kill yourself or something.
Kill yourself. I've heard that. I've heard that. The two things that have been said to me several times are you autistic, are you retarded, and you're too ugly to get raped. I've heard that so many times, and it's like, is this a kid?
Oh, now, come on. There are blind rapists.
Well, it's like, how is that an insult? I don't understand. Like, and people say, oh, that's horrible. I'm like, no, dude, it's horribly unoriginal. But it's like, too ugly to get raped? I don't know, what am I supposed to be insulted at? That I'm not getting raped or that I'm ugly?
Well, when I try to watch something on YouTube now, I'm just being bombarded by Google's idea of what the content should be. Do you like, what's this guy's name? Logan Paul? I hadn't heard of him, but it's like, we gave him a series because he's popular on YouTube. Not that it was a good idea, we just decided this guy had an installed base, so here's his series on YouTube Red. And I know, isn't it just a shame that they're like promoting these people up? Because like, how can anybody start when you're going up against these monsters now that Google is backing themselves?
Yeah,
I've seen TV commercials for some of these crappy vlogs.
I know. This is my new mentality, but it's rather been kind of like this for a while, because I was right where you were. I'd say a little over a year ago, where I was like, how can I possibly compete with these people? How could I possibly get noticed? And like, it's hopeless, and what's the fucking point? This sucks. And it was such a drag to where I just didn't enjoy my passion of editing and doing voices and doing content. And I realized, why do I care so much? I mean, sure, it doesn't benefit me financially, but it's like, maybe it shouldn't. Maybe I should just keep it a hobby and do it for fun, and do it for the fact that some people, maybe not a whole lot, enjoy it, and I enjoy doing it. And it's good practice too, in case I were to do something like it professionally. Maybe not for YouTube though. So my mentality is, why bother caring about the big channels? I don't really care for them myself. If there were some, I stopped long ago, because they're all sellouts. A lot of them are phony. I mean, you just saw what happened to that Austin dude who's like a pedophile now. Like, a lot of them.
Whoa, wait, what? Austin? What?
What the fuck is his name? Austin something. He looks like Justin Bieber. He's like a pervert. Yeah,
I do remember. I did hear something in the news. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was another guy I know who was getting accused of raping girls or something like.
There's some twisted fucks on the internet. Yeah, and it's like, and a lot of them can be YouTubers too. Like, there's a lot of phonies out there, and I feel like there's just what keeps me motivated is just the fact that, for the most part, I enjoy what I do, and I enjoy entertaining people and getting feedback, because when they tell me if they don't like something, usually the people that are watching me, and I'm hoping they'll start watching you, and you'll get some different fans, or rather viewers. I don't like the word fans either, because fan is short for fanatic. But if they watch you, enjoy your content, and they can give you valuable feedback, you can, change things up a bit.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm in this position now where I kind of need some like Patreon support, because like I'm putting a lot of time into it, and it's almost my only source of income now, because things are not going well for me anywhere else, and I'm like totally unhireable for I don't know why. But,
really?
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like I'm putting enough stuff out there to be like, hey, support me on Patreon at the end of my videos, but. I mean, there's not a lot of takers on it, but some people seem to be like, yeah, we want you to keep coming up with some content.
Yeah, I guess I'm in a slightly different boat, because if YouTube was my only source of income, then I'd be a lot more frustrated and a lot more passionate about keeping things going. But unfortunately, sometimes I disappear for up to a month because I'm either focusing on work or, just stuff that I'm trying to deal with in my personal life. And I work a lot, and my job isn't, it's minimum wage, but it's still a job that I care about. And my YouTube is more like my hobby, not my job. Maybe that's the way it should be for most people, for them to actually enjoy it. But as far as caring about what bigger channels do, I realized it's just they're a dime a dozen. They might make a lot more money and they get a lot more popular, but I still think low quality over quantity. Like they have, a lot of them don't have very, high quality doesn't mean expensive.
They have a polished production, but they don't have a lot to say.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of substance.
That's why I like the smaller channels. They're more genuine to me. They're more human, not so much people from LA like you, and like there's other YouTubers that I really enjoy that are still 15,000 sounds like a lot, but I'm microscopic compared to others. But I don't compare myself anymore. I don't think of that as failure or success. I think success is in the mind. It's just like, if you like what you're doing, keep doing it regardless of how YouTube acts or how Google, whatever, because unfortunately, a lot of these companies are blood-sucking bastards, and they'll just keep wanting more of. If you provide stuff that they want, they're going to twist it around into something more that they want and something less that you want if you're an individual person. So probably don't go down that road anyway. I'm hoping someday there's going to be another platform that we could all use that won't be so commercialized to where we can all be open again, maybe someday, but I'm not counting on it. But YouTube's really the only... I have a love-hate relationship with YouTube, I feel like it's a relative.
See, I feel the same way. People are like, oh, are you a YouTuber? Like, I went out jogging a couple weeks ago, and all these kids were in the park, like, are you a YouTuber? I'm like, yes. And then they all wanted to come talk to me and all this, and I'm like, okay, here's my channel. Like, how do you spell that, And it's like, but I don't want to call myself a YouTuber. Like, I didn't go to college to get a YouTuber degree. Exactly. But it's the only opportunity open for me, so it's something I'm begrudgingly doing.
I like to say content creator or uploader, because YouTuber sounds like you're trademarked, like you are part of the YouTube community. Like, even people thought I was part of the skeptic community, which I finally figured out who that is. Like, I thought that was only Armored Skeptic or something.
Oh, but, like an affiliate of his, huh?
Yeah, I really used to watch a lot of those channels, mostly last year, but I started to die out because of all the melodrama between all the different channels, and I realized that it's kind of a toxic community now, or at least a lot of the different channels. They just talk so much shit to each other, and it's not so much fun to watch anymore.
See, I guess I would say that I'm a comedian, but then people are like, tell me a joke, and I'm like, well, I'm not telling you to cook me a hamburger, like, to prove that you work at McDonald's. So
exactly.
I'm just telling people I'm a proud black Jewish female astronaut,
I saw that. That was on your, I think that was on your Twitter, right?
Yeah, I did a little set about that. Like, if you tell everybody you're a comedian, they're going to make me laugh. And it's like, I'm giving that stuff away for free right now.
Yeah, I don't like labels, see, because it's like comedian, the people associate that with just jokes, but comedians can be performance artists, they can be writers, they can be singers, they can be anything. And it's like, people think comedian, they think stand-up mostly, but there's different styles of comedy, lots, and comedy is subjective, just like entertainment and everything that we're enjoying as far as movies and games and whatever we review. It depends on the person, but the person, their judgment towards a source material or some sort shouldn't dictate whether or not this person is smart or stupid. It's just like, I love some movies that everybody else hates. I don't like movies that a lot of other people love, but I'm not going to look down at my nose at them if they love it. It's just movies. Who cares? And it's all in good fun. That's why I just love entertainment in general when it's done right anyway, when it actually entertains me. But it's kind of minimal these days, that's for sure. I try to be more optimistic, though, because I used to be negative all the time, and I realized being negative all the time just makes me a drag to be around when I'm like, I hate that movie. I'm definitely
a drag to be around then. But well, I think we're kind of like at the end of some of these entertainment avenues. Like, what more can we do with movies other than reboot them?
Well, I've actually had a few pleasant surprises. But some people already gave me a hard time. But I really enjoyed Logan. It's different.
I haven't seen it. I'm sure I'll get around to seeing it. But again, it's like we're doing the comic book movie again.
Exactly. But I see that's the only exception because it didn't feel like a comic book movie. It felt like a chase movie and kind of not an Old West, but a Western kind of setting. It's very different. It didn't feel like a comic book movie overall. In fact, it kind of reminded me of Metal Gear Solid.
Well, as these movies seem to be running out of original ideas, or at least the original ones seem to go unnoticed, like few people really see the truly original movies. Video games seem to be following that path where it's
they
like,
are.
which, how many versions of this game do we have? We have to get this new console just to play the next version of that game we played 20 years ago.
Yeah, and I hope we get... That's why I like indie games, too, because at least you get some originality. They don't make as much money. Maybe think of us as indie YouTube channels. Like, we're independent, we're not big budget, and original content. And in most places, like most indie films that I grew up watching, I still adore because of how gritty and real they feel. And games, too. Or at least they feel artistic, like most of the indie games that are like $10 a pop, like from that game company or whatever.
Well, I haven't come across a lot of indie games that I enjoyed because I feel, as with the movies, the games are on this nostalgia kick where it's like everything has to look 8-bit, even though it's really more like faux 16-bit.
I'm not a big fan of most of those. I'm talking about the ones that are like story driven but with no dialogue, like the game Brothers Tale of Two Sons.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with that one.
Entwined, Journey, and Flower. Like those were indie games.
Yeah, I mean, some of those, they're worthwhile endeavors, but when most of these indie games that come to my attention, it's like tiny little characters for just the sake of 8-bit. Like, remember Nintendo? Well, this will make you remember that, so here, give us your $10.
It's being overdone, though, yeah. The 8-bit thing.
Shovel Knight really seemed to have started this trend, I guess, of everything has to look like a Nintendo game. Like, you bought this... Are people going to go out and buy an Xbox One X to play Shovel Knight? Like...
I heard about this. God, that name is ridiculous. That needs work. Xbox One X, PS4 4, like PS4 Pro.
PS4 Pro. There's the One S and then the One X, and that is going to get turned around when it comes Christmas time, and people are relaying these to their moms. And then little Jimmy gets an S, and
now it's going to be like Nintendo Wii U Wii.
Well, do you play on any consoles?
I do. I play. Mostly now I play on my PS4 and I play on my Wii. I play the new Zelda on my Wii U.
Oh, so you're doing it on the Wii U and not the Switch.
Not the Switch. I wanted to, but the only game that I was really interested in was the new Zelda Breath of the Wild. But I still like my Wii U. I play it quite often, and I probably should have gotten a Switch because sometimes I can take it to work with me when there's nothing to do and play. But and it would be easier because it's portable, but the Wii U isn't. But the Wii U is pretty small, considering.
I play 3DS on occasion, and it has a pretty unique gaming experience compared to what you get on the consoles.
Yeah.
I was disappointed with the Switch not having those kind of touch features. Because like with even the DS, some of those games, like that one where you're like a doctor and you have to like do the surgery, you couldn't do that with a controller and it'd be half as good. So... I mean, there was just different experiences there, and at that generation, I was actually having more fun with my DS than I was on the 360.
The Wii U is gimmicky, though. The gamepad was totally unnecessary. The only reason I think it's good is because I can plug the console in wherever and play whatever on the gamepad, which is like kind of think of it as a large 3DS. So it is kind of portable when you think about it. But yeah, other than that, I never really looked at the gamepad a whole lot. I played Wind Waker on there, Wind Waker HD, and you could at least look down at the gamepad to select item. Inventory menu was in the gamepad, but other than that, it's useless. Or maybe the map. But it's like usually in other games, the map is in the other stuff is in a pause menu or a heads-up display. So there's really no point in having it down there. But other than that, it's, Nintendo's really failing, but I have to admit, Breath of the Wild was a pleasant surprise.
I think Nintendo's in a better spot than its competitors right now.
Yeah, they're starting to make a comeback.
They're like, if you want to play a real Mario game, you have to buy our console. And the other guys are kind of like, well, Microsoft is like, hey, when you download that game from the store, guess what? You also got it on Windows 10. So they're trying to find a way to convert Xbox gamers into just going to PC.
They probably should, because it's true. PCs do seem to be superior to consoles.
I think the
but
PC
the reason
is growing compared to the consoles. Like at one point, it seemed like the PC gaming was phasing out, and now it's like everybody actually wants to play the games on the PC instead.
Yeah, and Steam is now like the PSN for PC gamers. And see, I play on one of my consoles while my husband plays PC right next to me with the TV in the chair, so he doesn't have to play at the desk anymore. Like, there's new setups people can do. That's one of the reasons I didn't want to play on PC, because I don't like sitting at desks. I like sitting on like a lounge chair or the couch or in bed.
Well, the Xbox One X being a 4K experience, like, I'm pretty far away from getting a 4K TV. Like, I'll have to marry rich for that to happen. And that's unlikely given the prospects in Kansas.
They seem underrated or overrated to me, but that's because my eyesight is so terrible that I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, that's the only difference I can tell.
You need like an 80-inch screen, and you need to be pretty close to it. And do I really want to play a first-person shooter where I have to turn my head around to see the corners?
See, I think that's overkill. I don't personally want to do that.
I think that the people who want that kind of graphic fidelity are already on the PCs. I think the Xbox One X could bust for that reason, and it doesn't do anything unique. Like, remember how the Super Nintendo comes out, and it's like, wow, it's got all these more buttons. You can't play these games on the old Nintendo, clearly,
Yeah,
now it's like, here's the same controller again. So what are we doing different?
I do like the fact that Wii U is backwards compatible, so you can play Wii games. I got to finally play some Wii games I never got to try, and then they re-released them HD. But the one thing I'm saying about Nintendo that I think is lacking is the fact that they're like having this huge announcement that available on the Nintendo Switch, Skyrim, and I'm like, Skyrim came out 6 years ago.
How many years late? Oh, was it 6 years?
6 years.
I thought
and it looks good.
But it was at least
like
4.
Everybody already fucking beat it already. I beat it, and I'm playing it again on PS4 because it has all the DLCs that I never got to try, and they're fun. But it's like you're kind of late behind. But they've got like where you can play wearing a Link outfit and the Master Sword, which is cool. But I'm like, that could have easily just been a mod.
Yeah, I saw that, and it did look like a mod.
It looked just like a cheap mod. I mean, it was cool, but I'm like, okay,
but
Nintendo,
I don't even like commenting
up,
on those type of things on YouTube so much. I actually have video coming out where I'm talking about the One X and Mario Odyssey and whatever, but it's just like all I can do is just comment on somebody else's news, and I have to kind of do that to draw the views in from the clicks and the search results. I don't want to stoop to just a bland trailer reaction, or maybe I'll troll trailer reactions. Like, watch the trailer, don't emote at all, just go stone face, turn off the screen right there.
You'll get a copyright strike for that. It's lame.
Can you? I see the thumbnails for these all the time where they have like the trailer in the corner and it looks like a guy's watching it on his screen, I guess.
Yeah.
Are they not even doing that?
I don't know. I don't watch that shit. I don't watch React channels hardly ever because that's boring. Why do I want to watch someone else watching something? I'd rather watch it myself.
Yeah, I was going to make fun of it, but if they can't even do what I thought they were doing, maybe the joke doesn't even make sense.
They can, but I guess some people get away with it, some don't. I know that when people upload something else that was already uploaded, you have to like mute the sound or some shit. I don't know, but I think the only people that can do it now is like the Fine Brothers or some shit.
Yeah, there are different sets of rules. When I started doing my movie reviews, there's like, did you remember getting like friend requests and all this stuff? It's like, hey, I saw your comment on this video. I make videos too, and blah, blah. And it's like, no, I never commented on that. And it's like this person would have like 2 million subscribers, and all they had was a bot going around hassling enough people to build up their base.
I hate that. Yeah, sometimes I still get emails or messages from that people like, hey, I noticed that you're a fan of blah, blah, blah. Would you be interested in checking out my blah, 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 blah? If so, click on this, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, I bet you don't even know what my channel is.
I got a comment today that said, superb video. We make videos like this too.
Me and my associates.
It's like my 3 viewers are gonna go click on their channel, discover it now.
Yeah, so. It's weird. I get all these I told people I'm not monetized. I've demonetized my entire channal. I made $15.
I make $2 I might make $1 a day. Sometimes maybe $3 if it's a really hot day, I guess, but. Maybe $20 a month. It's not looking good for me. My life's pretty bad.
My AdSense account only spiked up to $15 in a year, and then they closed my account. So I said, fuck it.
When I had the movies going, I was making $20 a day on ad revenue, and that only lasted for about 9 months. Then they just kicked me out. They said I was clicking on my own ads.
That's worse shit.
And there's no way I could not prove that. So it's just like, hey, the competitors didn't like you being a competitor. So since they are with the LA Times and the Associated Press, they want you out of here. So bye.
Well, they closed my account because they said there wasn't enough ad activity. But it's a shame you can't pick what kind of ads to run on your channel. But my channel is so all over the place. There's no ads that can specify. If you're a music channel, you get music ads. If you're a comedy channel, you'll get comedy ads. But I don't really know what my channel is. It's like a commentary comedy channel, I guess. But I
know. Like I've got people who want to hear gaming stuff from me. But sometimes I talk about sports or. Maybe an issue in politics or government stuff. I want to talk about whatever I want to talk about. So I didn't call it the Star Wars jog vlog. Though if you wanted to get out there today and make a new channel, just set some Funko Pops of Star Wars behind you and talk about Star Wars every day of the week.
Well, that's boring.
It will work.
Well, I wouldn't be satisfied if that's all it was. I'd rather do things that I'm passionate about, even if it means not that many views. And be like, well, what's the point? Well, it's a hobby. It really is. Even though it might not go anywhere, and maybe in the end I might quit YouTube because I might get bored of it, but I still find new ideas all the time. And I want to do this thing that some other YouTubers did, but I've actually wanted to do it before it became a bit of a gimmick, was talking about my favorite scary movie moments as a kid.
Top 10 lists.
Kind of like that, but and maybe no list.
Well, unfortunately, you got to call it a top 10 for anybody to discover it.
That's true. Unfortunately, in order for it to get attention, you have to use some kind of. It's difficult. I try to make my titles get some bit of attention. I've been seeing
other really clickbaity stuff too. That it'll be like the real reason why Brendan Fraser isn't in movies anymore.
I've seen so many of those. I watched that, and there's no real reason. It's he's old and he's not doing a lot of movies anymore. Ooh, big whoop.
Yeah.
That's it. Oh, he's not as hot as he was in 1999. Okay, we get it. It took us 8 minutes. People give me 8 minutes of my life back. YouTube sucks. We agree on this, but continue to do what we like and.
We're fighting the system from inside,
trying
the French Resistance over here, I guess.
Vive la Resistance!
As someone who lives on West Coast time, do you feel like maybe you kind of relate to maybe how people in the Midwest are? It's oh well, you're not in Los Angeles, but even though you're closer to it, it's still all the news comes from Los Angeles or New York City, and the rest of us just have to ingest it. We're not allowed to make news. All we get to do is comment on the news because they have the privilege.
Yeah, there's a radar signal going only at certain points of the U.S. and the rest are just kind of off the grid. I agree, because as far as entertainment goes, the entertainment scene, it really fucking sucks. I think the only highlights of where I live are bars and a couple plays, and there's plenty of things to do, but not much to entertain people a whole lot.
I think that local news is going to go out of business soon because
without a doubt.
people are getting all the local news even on the internet. So it's like, why bother for this 6 o'clock broadcast and things like this? But there's also, I feel like New York City, Los Angeles, they try to control taking stuff away from us. Like, well, if you want to really be an actor, you got to come to California. Whereas with the internet, it should be like, hey, you can make movies and act anywhere, but they're going to find a way to hold on to that foothold they had. So they tend to keep
move
everybody.
Those people. Yeah, like those people that become famous, they tend to have to move to New York or move to LA to shoot.
The big vloggers end up having to move so that
they get a movie deal or some shit or a TV deal, and all the studios are there. So yeah, that's another reason I enjoy the smaller channels, because they have their own little universe that we're still a part of. They haven't had their soul sucked out by corporate, companies and conspiracy theory. YouTube is so commercial that I feel almost guilty being associated with it, but I'm technically not, because I'm not monetized. And
I didn't realize you weren't monetized anymore. So they forced you out?
No, no, they actually they closed my account on AdSense because I wasn't getting enough ad activity, I guess. And I looked
That's
at my
garbage.
Yeah.
That is not. I swear they will come up with any excuse.
They closed it, but they said I could reopen it if I wanted to, but I only made $15. And I said, what's the fucking point? People have to sit and watch boring ads that they want to skip, that I know they want to skip, and that I would skip, for me to get what, 2 cents? Fuck it. So I took it off.
You got to do a video on this AdSense stuff like that. I think that'd go over well.
I'm not that knowledgeable. Know how it didn't affect me, and so I realized it's really pointless, and trying to make money on YouTube is a fucking joke. I think the only hope people have is if they have a Patreon or a PayPal. Patreon is going to get really commercialized though too.
It already is. There's feature channels because there's featured users on Patreon because they have the big base, so let's keep them happy and drive more people to them.
I changed my Patreon and just mentioned how I'm trying to save up for a new computer, but I don't expect people to send me shit because I have a paying job and I don't feel right taking money from strangers. But if I were, I would rather be able to, providing content. Whereas I can only provide content when I have the time and the energy.
Strangers, I will take your money.
Yeah.
I have student loans that I otherwise cannot meet the goals on.
Yeah, because he doesn't work. He needs the help. I would say I need the help, but I guess I'm saying the help would be appreciated, but I don't necessarily want it that bad because I guess my passion for uploading consecutively has died down a bit because I'm working so much. I feel like if people do have a day job, YouTube is second in their priorities. So, but still, I have my smartphone and I talk to people constantly on even though I talk a lot of shit about Google, but at least I have to use their apps in order to talk to the people watching me, and I talk to whoever I can whenever I can. Another outlet I use, but it's mostly just for my creative side, if you can call it that, is my Instagram.
Yeah, I would call that creative. You uploaded something today where it was like, you're saying like you're using these filters. I'm like, there's filters for all of this?
Yeah, it's art filters.
Okay, so the one with it was like a couple pictures ago or something where it was like, what's the song called, like Warship or something? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, it's from Gunship.
So is that you dancing with filters or your face over somebody?
That's my face.
Okay.
That's my face. I'll explain. So I hate Snapchat because I don't really know how to use it, but I like the face filters.
I can't figure it out either.
I really can't figure it out, but I figured out how to use face filters. You just, when you open up the app, you push, when the camera's in your face, you just kind of you touch the screen. I
accidentally figured that out last week.
Yeah, and there's really cool looks. Sometimes, and most of them are really stupid, but once in a while, because new filters pop up every day, once in a while you'll see one that you'll like, and I'll record with it, and then I'll use all my different apps to change how it looks, change the colors, put different effects on it, and then I put music on it and make little mini music videos just because I'm bored. I'm like I'm at work.
Well, I've noticed that Instagram wants to be Snapchat, which is weird to me, seeing as Instagram was out first.
I don't know. They wanted to, and Vine went. Like they changed it to where all the videos loop.
Vine, I don't know what. I never liked Vine. I felt like Vine diminished filmmaking because it's like, oh, now 6 seconds constitutes being a filmmaker. I mean, like I'm doing way more intricate stuff on YouTube, but no one will watch it. Oh, but all these jokes, and also it ruined humor. Everything has become a win joke. That's what I call them. When your girlfriend's late for breakfast or something like that, they spend the whole joke setting it up with this win statement and then just have some random crap happen in the video.
There's a lot of garbage on Vine, but I've seen some pretty creative special effects movie tricks where they like change something to where like they're throwing something and all of a sudden someone else catches it, like little movie like camera tricks and animation and art and stuff. And then I've seen people like say something or do an impression or do something funny, and on occasion I really enjoyed those. It's just, you know, it's like a short snippet of entertainment, so I kind of liked Vine, but not so much, like I said before, not the big popular people that make Vine, just some weird creative Vine channel.
I never got into it. I did think about doing a Vine thing based on what my concept for a Netflix series is, where like I play myself and my mom, and like I could do like a kind of a bit of a drag thing, like kind of dress up like I would think my mom character would, and I do her voice when I do my stand-up, and I do her mom quotes and things. It's like a big...
I bet that would have been successful, actually, because some people do shit like that.
I mean, it might had, but now I see some of these effects some of these Vine kids have in their bigger videos now, where it's like they're going to the superhero movie, and now they have superhero caliber like effects type stuff. I'm like, I'm one guy in Kansas. I can't be getting into this now. It's too late.
Well, it's dead anyway. Don't even worry about it. I made some pretty creative, funny Vines, but it died shortly after. And I backed them up, and I tried to edit them and make it into a little compilation so people could see what they were before Vine. It keeps crashing on my software, so I'm trying to figure that out, but it's not important. But I liked Instagram because I could post almost anything on there and not worry about... Because I don't have that many followers, and the few people that do, they seem to like everything I post. So
most of my social network following is dwindled. Like I was a bigger deal when I was doing the movie reviews, and people could count on me to have a review of a movie coming out, and I could post the link and get like 1,000 hits on it on Twitter. And now it's like, oh, you don't have the blue check mark of importance. Well, I guess you're just a second-class user now. We're not gonna retweet. We don't reply. We don't even notice you.
That's true.
Yeah,
it's sad, but
that's the internet has created this like new class system where you're important, have the check mark, or you're not.
I only use it because it's a tool. I just think of it as a tool that helps me talk to at least some people, if not ever all people, just some people. And whether or not I'm noticed is not important. I just basically use it as a tool to communicate with other people that watch my channel or have channels of their own, and maybe ask questions and swap funny pictures. That's it. I guess I don't take any of these things as seriously. If I ever did, it didn't last, because I realized how completely full of shit most of these platforms are, just how commercialized and stupid they really are. But
I also wonder if they're all going to go down soon enough. It seems like the internet things move really quick. There's a lot of sites people used to go to 10 years ago. No one even remembers, like Dig even. Dig was going to sell for like 25 million, and the guy held out until it sold for like 300,000. Like things like this happen, and Facebook I hope Facebook goes away, because
me too. I don't even use it. Yeah,
the advertising platform there is trash. There's no reason anyone should push any ads. Why would anybody click on any ad there? Then if you do build a following, you have to pay money to actually use it. Otherwise your followers don't actually see your content. And
the ads and the constant spam.
I think that they also, there's no hard evidence here, but it seems as though they just allowed people to make a bunch of fake accounts and call that new user growth, and then not with money, but just say new user growth, drive up the stock price. So it's a company built on nothing, and yet by going public and kind of like seemingly frauding all these investors, now we got this asshole kid about my age who has allegedly tens of billions of dollars he doesn't deserve. So, let's, you want to go ahead and wrap this up here? Yeah.
They're playing. It's playtime before bedtime. But yeah, I've had fun. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, nobody died, right?
I hope not.
So yeah, I guess my channel's Vaughn Jog Vlog.
Please, guys, check him out if you're interested in interesting, insightful opinions about movies and stuff. He's a little channel. Give him a chance at least.
I also want to say that one of the things I got a little bit of recognition for on YouTube is like doing the YouTube channel art. Back when they had full backgrounds, it was way more complicated.
Your banner's awesome. I love the banner.
Yeah, I do a lot of that stuff. I do that on like a freelance basis. If you guys are interested in having a design, hit me up on Fiverr. I'm still trying to get some cash there. It used to be a lot easier when they had this featured gig status, and like the website was really pouring people towards me, kind of like if you were a big time YouTuber, but had to actually work with people. But now they kind of got rid of that, and it's kind of tough times. But on there, I'm Vaughn on Movies, which was kind of like that was the name of my old show of sorts on YouTube where I was reviewing films. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, awesome or pathetic.
Those links in the description.
Yeah. All right. Well, it was nice talking to you. Thanks for having me on your podcast. Well, I was like, this is somebody I want to podcast with because like you blew up and all this stuff, and then I go and like as soon as I thought that you just uploaded a podcast, I'm like, oh, okay, well. At least she wants to podcast, and I'm like, I was actually kind of surprised you were willing to podcast with me because I'm like, you got 100 times more audience than I do right now. So
if I guess 15 times 1,000, I have 15.
Is it 100? I'm 1,500 to. Am I out 10 times? Yeah.
You're 1,000. I have 15,000, but it's.
Yeah, but when I post a video, it gets like tens of views, and yours get. I don't know, what, 20,000 or so?
Oh, hell no. Now it's like, if I'm lucky, a couple thousand every month. It's slow right now. Things pick up and things die out. I've lost several hundred subs because of my inactivity. It just comes and goes. So do your best not to, obsess over numbers for a while and don't stress yourself out, but talk to the people that are watching. And if more of my people, you guys who are awesome, if you guys talk to him and provide some feedback, then, maybe he can try something a little different that might help to where he's enjoying what he's doing and not getting so frustrated, because a lot of us are in the same boat, A lot of us get frustrated because of how much all these networks suck.
Oh, yeah, the networks. Yeah, well, I mean, I was just thinking about those, you can't even collab with people on YouTube anymore because they're in the network.
Yeah, they're like sponsored by somebody, and it's all like you have to keep your mouth shut or not talk about bleh. But fortunately, no, I'm not sponsored by anyone. There's no strings attached.
You can't buy off Bunz.
Can't buy off Bunz. Well, that's debatable. What if they sent me to an island where I could start my life over? Maybe.
We just want you to say some nice things about Anita Sarkeesian.
Never!
Oh. Okay, well, hey.
Kill me first!
Thanks for having me on the show here.
Thank you so much for coming. You have a good night.